listening to the Mark Bradford Alchemy for Life podcast.
Oh, I don't like this word. Well, hey there. Nice to see you, hear you, interact with you. You know what word I really don't like? It's mindset. My God. I hear that word, and I think it's this catch-all word for like 1,000 things. It's a word that coaches and speakers and motivational people and other people who are trying to control others. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Sometimes it's part of someone's job. They use that word, mindset. The millionaire mindset, the this mindset, the that mindset. Really? And typically it's accompanied by someone swearing at you because that's the cool in thing now. So I'm hesitant to actually talk about an actual example of mindset. So here it goes. Let's talk about diets. So when I say diet, your mind immediately jumps to a certain definition of it, right? But before your mind can do that, let me reset it. If we talk about the mountain lion or the African lion, and we talk about the diet of the African elephant or the diet of the African lion, what do you think of? You immediately think of all the food they eat. All the food that they eat as part of their diet, right? They sustain themselves on a diet of nuts and berries and deer, da-da-da-da-da. So you with me? If we talk about pretty much any animal and that animal's diet, we talk about all the food that they eat. Now, if you took a lion and you gave him a craft table buffet at a movie or something, obviously he might sniff around and maybe try a few more things, but for the most part, he's going to eat the food that's available to him, that he's evolved to eat and process properly. The stuff that he's evolved to go, that tastes good. I need a bite of a deer. This craft table thing was interesting. The Doritos gave me heartburn. I don't like that. I'm just going back and I want to bite a deer in the neck. But that's the diet of an animal. Okay? Now, if I say I'm on a diet, you immediately switch gears because you think diet is a subset of diet, right? You think if I say I'm going on a diet, so you're going to limit yourself on how much food you eat, a subset of the entirety of food I normally eat, or I'm going to eat different food. I'm going to restrict myself. And then we think of a time limit. We typically think, well, how long are you going to be on this diet? Like the keto diet and some of the other diets that you really shouldn't be on for more than a certain amount of time because it's sort of a means to an end in a way. It's a way to put your body in a certain mode that you're having difficulty putting it in. So do you see how diet has two very specific meanings in your mind, but you typically go through life with the second meaning, the subset meaning, the negative meaning, pardon me. So when someone says, I'm going on a diet, or you should go on a diet, or try this new diet, or diet, you typically have a negative reaction to it. So if you are trying to change the way you eat, perhaps, and here comes the M word, perhaps if you change your mindset regarding that word, it would be a lot easier to go on the diet. So if you just think to yourself, no, as a human male or female, my diet will now consist of da-da-da. Or what I was missing out of my diet was this. Or the more proper diet to sustain me is a diet of da-da-da. Now there's no time limit. Now it seems more accurate. Now it seems more natural. And it's just something that kind of happens. All that from a mindset. I'm letting that sink in because it's even sinking in for me again, just saying it. But that's the truth on that. That's where mindset actually applies. And I don't see this anywhere else because they say change your mindset and think this way and think You can't really rewire somebody's brain that way. You can't say, well, you need to think of it this way. But this is reality. And you can't identify how to think a certain way until you understand why you think of it a certain way, right? So under the heading, again, of don't beat yourself up, thinking of a diet in both ways is not incorrect. It's completely correct to think that, the walrus has a certain diet of something, and the hummingbird has a certain diet of something. And it's also correct to think of I'm going on a diet as a different thing. It's correct. It's just sort of limiting. So, being aware of that, you can now flip it. And you might want to rewind to how I described flipping it again, because I'm not going to bore you with re-describing it again. So as your homework, kind of an active homework that doesn't require you to pause this, I would like you to think of anything else that you may or may not be having difficulty with. And think about a version of that thing that you don't have a negative reaction to. Like we just described with diet. If there's another thing, oh, well, X always makes me think this. Well, is there a version of X in your vocabulary that doesn't make you think negatively, which doesn't repel you, which you embrace, what you think is positive? And then if you think about that, then just think about flipping them, just like we did with diet, and see if that gets you some progress. And like I've said on a lot of this stuff, which is the thing that, turns me off on coaching and other people trying to motivate you, it's not always an absolute. In fact, it's almost never an absolute. It works differently for different people. You have your own trials and tribulations you go to. You have stresses of work. You're kind enough, thank you, for spending the 10 minutes that I request of you to listen to something like this. I make a bargain with you. I try to impart some really good stuff on you. And in exchange for that, I promise to only take about 10 minutes. So you're like, dude, just listen to 10 minutes of this guy, and that's the end of it. It's not 20 minutes. It's not an hour. It's not rambling. It's not an interview of 6 hours with people. And by the way, I've been a guest on a couple podcasts in which it was literally almost 2 hours. And I told the people interviewing me, I said, look, I don't care how interesting I am, and I think that I'm exceedingly interesting. Thank you. Nobody wants to listen for 2 hours. They just don't. So I like to take only the 10 minutes that you allow me to, and in exchange, I try to impart something quick to you. This could literally change your life, because if the diet thing works and you're like, oh my God, that stupid, simple thing that Mark told me on that silly podcast is the thing that allowed me to think about how I eat differently. It wasn't that sugar's bad, and it wasn't this and carbs and da. It was just that, oh, as a human, this is my diet. That's it. No fanfare, no nothing, no prepackaged meals, no whatever. Can't eat that after 8, can't do this, can't do that. Just, no, this is more natural for me. This is just the way that I eat. This is what makes me healthy as the particular kind of human I am, physiologically, in the position I'm in, with the time, energy, and resources that are available in my life, and the way that I want to run my life, and the way that I want to feel. This goes without saying, but I'm saying it, so I don't know, that's kind of redundant, but please contact me in one of the many forms you have to contact me, and let me know if you went through the thought experiment with the diet or the X that you came up with. I'd love to hear about the X that you came up with. If you said, you know what, I did this flip mindset thing that you just told me about, the diet thing was nothing compared to this, because I would love to share that with other people. Absolutely. And in fact, if it was some big change for you, I'd love to talk to you after the change took place, and we can kind of look back on it 2020 and say, hey, this is what happened to me, because that could be super valuable for other people. So again, in keeping with the 10-minute thing, I will thank you for listening. I always appreciate it. The bumper music and everything always tells you that too, but I really, really, really appreciate it. One quick little thing. The Sword and the Sunflower is available on Kindle and paperback. It's actually been re-released, a second printing. And in doing that, I have also created the audiobook. It's about 9 hours long. So as opposed to 10 minutes, you get to listen to me for 9 hours. So I did the best I could to do justice to the characters in there. And I hope you really enjoy it and look for it soon. Thank you. Hey, it's me. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it. Got to tell you that The Sword and the Sunflower has been out, and if you pick up a copy of The Sword and the Sunflower, you'll be ready for the release of Amira, the epic conclusion to the story of The Sword and the Sunflower.